Hi, I'm Sam with SkreetKar 3D. Today I'm going to try to do a speed run using the Trackit device and scanning just the fender. Some people wanted to see it in action scanning car parts and actually large body panels. I will not be scanning the whole car at this time because I'm not doing the multi-placement. But we can, if I move this Trackit back far enough, I can scan most of this entire side of the vehicle. But for in this case, so I don't have a 2 hour long video, I want to just scan this fender on this 2000 GT Mustang. I may capture some of the wheel. I'm not sure yet. I wanted to be able to capture this with the track in frame so you can see the behavior of what it does when I block tracking. You'll see the green lights that are actually on the device. If I block the field of view of the tracking device, it will actually start flashing red. So that will indicate that it cannot see all the dots that are actually on the scanner. So without further ado, go ahead and try to scan it. We're going to try to process this and mesh it and see the quality that we're going to receive. Okay. So I am going to do some tweaks. I personally have because this does have dark areas and I'm going to try to catch a little bit of the tire. I personally like to use the black object mode. Some people like to use general. Some people like shiny objects. It's probably between shiny objects or general, but I personally like black objects. So I'm going to use black objects. I think I'm going to leave the the scanning distance range just fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up the target points. We're going to go ahead and do this to just 0.85. Now, this does nothing to do with scanning resolution. This simply is what's being displayed on the screen, what you see being scanned. So it's going to come in green quicker because it's only trying to satisfy 0.8 millimeters versus 0.4 millimeters. So it's going to stay orange and turn green slower the finer resolution you set because you're telling it you want to be 100% sure you get all the points in that area. I wouldn't scan anything like the side of a car at point 0.3, point 0.4, or point 0.2. I would just not do that because you're just going to be all day trying to build in 0.2 millimeters of resolution. You don't want to do that. You're still going to get all those point clouds. Simply just you still be able to fuse it and mesh it at the settings that you want. And also, since I am going to be powering a 50-inch monitor and two video screens, so I have a camera over here, and then I'm using a laptop camera. So if we have a feed that can see this, you can see me performing the scan. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the scanner. We're at 0.85, okay? There's the Trackit scanner. Complete, it's right there. And we're going to go ahead and start scanning. As you can see, it's filling this in quick. So what I like to do, because I know I'm going to be filling in a perimeter, I like to see what my ranges are. So if I'm going to be scanning a target area, I'm only going to focus on that target area. But I'd like to make sure where I'm going to lose tracking first. Because let's be honest, right now I'm right in front of the tracking. So we're just going to keep filling it in. Now you see we're filling in this fender that's got a nice sheen to it really quickly. Now I do have the Trackit on the tripod one notch down, so it's pretty low, but you really need to be low to be able to capture this area. I'm gonna go ahead and scan as much as we can over here. We're gonna keep going until we lose track. It looks like we're gonna be in a good spot. I want to kind of mimic a track loss, but of course to track it, tracking. So I'm looking at this screen up here, so you'll see me looking between the screen. There, see I lost track and it should be flashing red. I just wanted to show you that that's outside of the range of it. I could back to track it up some more, but I'm not. I'm just going to show what we're able to capture in this frame. I'm going to get some of this bumper. Let's just go ahead and fill it in. As you can see, it's actually trying to get that reflector inside that lens, which is actually pretty funny. Okay, so let's go ahead and build up this fender. And just for my curiosity's sake, I'm going to try to scan this wheel. And if you've ever scanned a wheel before, without any markers, it's kind of crazy. I'm going to pop off the gain one a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do this wheel. This is where the Trackit comes in handy. We can do large areas, but when you're talking about a wheel, so if you look, this is pretty low. So I'm outside of the range of the Trackit because I have the tripod still set up pretty high. But we're just going to use this as a frame of reference. And we're still capturing frames pretty easy. I'm just, this is just playing. I bet you can get that caliber, yeah. Get that rotor. Yeah, I'm getting in there pretty good. Again, we're targeting the fender, but I'm just showing me scan a vehicle. But most people that are going to be buying this, they're going to be trying to scan a car with it. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to show that I can pick up quite easily. Okay. So there you go. We pick back up. I'm going to go ahead and do the top of this fender. As you see, this black cowl is coming in nice and easy. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to help it better for me to pay attention when I'm scanning. But remember, you're still painting with light, so low and steady, color in what you want to color. And see, I'm blocking one of the eyes of the Trackit right now. So I'm kind of outstretched. Of course, you would want to move the Trackit somewhere else, but I kind of left the engine bay open on purpose. So we can probably get in here and just show how much we're able to kit. Like right now, I'm far stretched. We're building in that battery. I bet you if I went over here and didn't let the Trackit be blocked, yeah, we're in action. You can see I'm getting most of the front of the car. It's just filling in like butter. Of course, that headlight is transparent, so we won't get that, but we'll get the top of the bumper. No problem. Look how quickly that is able to fill in. It's pretty astounding for a laser at this price point. So if you see, we're getting that in. Again, my ADHD is kicking in. We're scanning the fender, right? So let's scan the fender. I'm a little too close. That's my fault. I'm backing up right now. And that's a chrome level. Let me get that filled in. Let me go ahead and follow that arch. It's a nice little hard area to reach. So we're going to go ahead and scan this guy again. We're just going to go ahead and nice and smoothly fill in all the orange spots. So you can pause. So that's where you're at. I'm just curious about getting more of this wheel. We're going to get some more of that tire. Is it needed? No. Of course, it's not part of the fender. I'm just curious of how can I fix this up. And I'm also showing you the behavior of blocking. This one's actually not blocking. This is just too low. I'm way below the tripod. Okay. And if I move the tripod back, it would easily pick this up. But I'm trying to show you the behavior, okay? I didn't want anybody to be thinking we're falsifying any of these scans, like we're not using the Trackit. I didn't have it in frame for a lot of the scans I was doing, so I didn't want. What am I doing? I'm trying to do this mirror, which wasn't the intended target, but I'm really too close for this one. But we're trying to get that fender. Let's go ahead and finish this fender out. I'm scan this. Got that little spot right there. My body, I'm just trying to block it. Okay. I think that's probably going to be good for the fender. Well, let's just try to see if I can get this spot real quick. There we go. It's enough to fill in that area right there. I'm on the bleeding edge of the Trackit. I want to get this edge really good. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and finish this. All right. So please put your scanner back in the case. You don't want to knock it over, trust me. All right. Go ahead and just look what we got. We're going to hit complete. Again, we're going to try to speed run this. I was yapping, kind of like squirrel, started scanning other stuff. I was just trying to target the fender. That's what we were trying to look at. So let's go ahead and get this complete. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to fuse. Since we're fusing for camera and we're not fusing for reverse engineering, I'm just going to use the default 0.75. Sounds good to me. So let's go ahead and let this process. We're processing 16,062 frames. 16,062 frames. Quite a bit of frames. This is probably going to take probably 5 minutes of process. So in the meantime, I have the Trackit right here. I can either move this if I wanted to keep it in the same orientation. I wanted to use the other mode where you can move it. You would simply put markers here and then scan that, and then it would say move on to the next step. I'm still testing in this phase. I have not moved into that, but that is coming. I'm going to try to scan at least one of my vehicles completely. But that's to be determined. The weather is just not going to cooperate. But this, I did scan this entire side with the Trackit all the way up against my wall. I was able to pick that up this fine. And honestly, for me, not having a stitch marker around, that worked for me. Because honestly, if you're going to be scanning a vehicle, you're not going to want to scan the entire vehicle and then mesh it, because you're going to be taking something. So, for example, the bell housing. When I meshed this bell housing, it was almost a gig file, 1 gig. So if you're gonna do the same resolution for an entire car, you're probably like at least 20 gigs. Now, of course, it's going to simplify that. It's not a linear scale from something that small to this side, but it's pretty close. You're never going to be working in a CAD file that large. You're probably going to decimate it. If you decimate the model, then your give and take. If you decimate and you set a decimate at a certain tolerance, then you can still retain your set tolerance, and it'll shrink your file because it'll remove a lot of the point cloud data or the polys that you don't need. That works great. It'll shrink probably a 1 gig file down to like 100 meg, and it's still, for your eyes, still 100% usable for reverse engineering. When you scale up to a vehicle, you're going to give and take. You're probably going to shrink that down to like a 1 gig file from 20 or 30 gigs that the whole car scans. So then you're going to give and take. You decimate it enough that later on, if you want to come back and the only focus is just this fender, like if you want to try to do a custom body kit or something like that, and you need this arch to be as accurate as possible. You obviously are not going to want the whole entire car. You're going to want this fender. This is where this comes in handy. You come out here, markers and that kind of stuff. I know that this is just a 2018 Mustang. It is a spring edition, 1900, and this color, but it's just a Mustang. Now, I'm not really scared to put markers on. But if you have a client that comes in and you don't want to use scan spray, you don't want to use markers, and you need an accurate scan of a certain section, this is where this comes in. You're going to have the accuracy of the laser, and then you're also going to have the accuracy of this allowing you to track. Okay, so this completed. Remember, speed run. All right, so that, honestly, that don't look too bad, guys. Okay, so this is just point clouds, remember? Okay, so I did get some of the engine bay. So I am going to do isolation. So isolation is the first step you want to do. It's going to clean up the junk. So any of these floaters should be taken care of. I'm not going to use 15% because I'm afraid it's going to recognize that tire and pull that out. So let's just use, like, yeah, that sounds good. Hopefully it just gathers the really small stuff. Boom, like that. See, this is what I was worried about. See, it picked up the caliper. I can't accept that, but I'm going to try to go a little bit smaller because I'd really like to see what that caliper looks like. We're going to do 1%. So detect it again. Remember, I want to keep, all right, I can live with that. Let's go ahead and remove that. See, now I still have, oh, see, you got the slotted rotors came in. You got some of the tire. That emblem looks pretty sharp. I was only focused around this area right here. Okay. I got some of the engine bay still there. It picked up that headlight. That's pretty cool. So it must be just dust or something because don't think it's going to scan transparent spot, but it picked up on that. You got that pretty well. Okay, so let's going to do an overlap. Overlap is just going to pick up anything that I overscanned, and with a laser and that tracking, you really are not doing too much overscanning. Overscanning usually happens when you have like a tripod and it just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning, and you're just looking at the same data over and over. But since you're tracking, but yeah, that looks dang sharp. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and mesh. Sure, let's just do that. I don't want to make this a 12, extend this by 12 minutes. So 3 minutes, that's I can live with that. So while that's processing, we're gonna go ahead and just talk about placement. You're just gonna want to be able to be at faster minimal movement, but still be able to get it in line of sight and not. Now, I did see, if you notice, the tripod is not at the lowest or at highest setting. I did loosen one of the legs and it's completely lowered that entire section down. I lowered it completely on the section so I can follow along this. Technically, I think I need to lower it a little bit more so I can be close to it, because right now I'm eye level right here. So eye level right here. So you see I'm way above the floor. I would probably want to lower it to where it's eye level right here because my target is here. So that's why we're struggling to get that positive tire. I probably lowered all the legs and just relied on moving this up and probably going to pick that up fun. But you just want to be able to scan your target. And again, I don't know who's going to be trying to reverse engineer a Mustang build, but I do see people making wide bodies. So you're going to want to focus on sections. But this 100% should be able to scan an entire car. Like I said, I scanned this side of this car, just testing before I made the video. I want to make sure I had the scanner in the right spot. Not a free run. I actually scanned it and I was like, okay, I got most of the Fender, so let's make a video. But I had it all the way against that wall, and I was surprised I was able to get from right here to right about right here, and it started losing sun track. So this is a 24 by 24 garage, so that against the wall was probably on 10 feet because I got junk in front of it. So I was only probably about 10 feet max away from the car. So that tells you. I still had a little bit of room, but that's pretty much at the maximum it should be. Now, if I would have moved in the corner, they probably would have saw a lot more, and I probably would not have been blocking much because it would have been looking at me this entire time, like following along. Well, not following along, I'd be in line of sight, but I didn't try that. I did try to do it with the Fender a little bit, bring this at an angle and scan the Fender. But all right, from right here and looking at that monitor, it looks dang good. Oh yeah. So guys, I think that's I was not scanning the front bumper, but that looks pretty good. And again, for somebody that wasn't trying to scan the wheel, that's pretty good. Remember, the fender was the target. Everything else is bone. I do want to point out this right here. That looks like a mess up in the scan. No, there is literally a dent right here and right there. I don't know what it is. It happens on these new Edge Mustangs. I think it's something with the strut position, but all of them do that. There's a little dent right here and there's a little crease over there. It's just in the same exact spot, but it picked up just fine on that scan. So I know that. That's pretty funny. And this is a 7 mesh, and remember we fused at, I think we did 7.5. I can't remember what fusion we set it at, but yeah, to me, that was a quick scan, and I think that's very presentable. And for that mirror that I wasn't really fully scanning, I was getting there. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, well, this is Sam Williams SkreetKar 3. Hope you enjoyed the video. Again, that was a somewhat speed run. As you see, I could have done this a lot quicker if I would just kept my mouth shut and just focused on that, but I'm an idiot and wanted to scan up here and scan some of the bumper and scan the wheel. If you're just targeting that fender, I would have been able to take care of it. Anyways, stay tuned. I'll probably have some more videos very soon before the Kickstarter, but the Kickstarter is going to start on the 28th. They have an early bird. I would recommend probably doing that if you're interested in this scanner, because that's a pretty big chunk off. I think it's like 35% off, something like that. But $3,200, and you have a whole entire scan set up to where you scan large items and also some small items. Now, would I scan a coin with it? No, I would not drag all this out for a coin. But if I'm trying to scan a customer's vehicle, absolutely. But anyways, appreciate you guys watching, and catch you later.